Hello, welcome back to Chat About It, Don't Shout About It with me, Rachel, the Queen of the Woke, as crowned by one of my haters. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Thank you to everyone who subscribed to my channel in the last week. I was really shocked that you all subscribed, so thank you very much. Couldn't do it without you. So, guess what? Doctor Who is disastrous at the moment. That is for sure. So I made a video yesterday about the ratings for Boom, but they've actually released now the consolidated figures for the first two episodes, which were Space Babies and Devil's Chord. So we're going to take a look at those, and believe me, it's gotten to the point where even certain people who defend them all the time can't defend them anymore. It's really interesting. So let's get on with it. If you haven't yet watched my videos on my reviews for Space Babies, The Devil's Chord, and Boom, they are on my YouTube channel. Please do feel free to go and check those out. Let's take a look at these viewing figures. Okay, so the overnight ones were 2.6 million, 2.4 million for Space Babies and The Devil's Chord, respectively. And they released the consolidation right here, which is 4.01 million for Space Babies and 3.91 million for The Devil's Chord. These do not include the streaming figures for Disney Plus. The Disney Plus viewing figures will be unique to them. Now, I know linear ratings have changed over the years. People tell me that all the time, and I'm well aware of that. But I do feel that linear ratings do give some sort of indication as to where fans are actually sitting with watching the TV show. I really do believe that. And when I was getting the 2.6 million, was I that surprised? Not really. And even more so for the 2.4 million, which ironically I felt like some people would have chosen to tune in more to because of Jinx Monsoon, but they didn't. So people were saying to me, just wait until we see the release of the consolidation of the figures. And well, the consolidation has come out. 4.01 million for Space Babies. That is a 1.41 million viewership on the iPlayer. It's not broken down into the iPlayer midnight release and the 6 o'clock iPlayer release. And for The Devil's Chord, it was a 3.91 million, which is a 1.51 million viewership on iPlayer, which is a slight increase. The 100,000 viewership gain on the iPlayer, I think, isn't that significant, in my opinion. What is more significant is the drop in the actual linear ratings. So these two suffered a 200,000 loss in the linear. And then going on to The Devil's Chord, it was around a 360,000 loss, which makes up in total 560,000 viewers lost in the linear viewership, which was blamed on the weather. But in my opinion, seeing as half of England for Boom was actually swept by thunderstorms that day, it really shouldn't have been the case. This should have increased, but the viewership went to Britain's Got Talent. Now, I did expect an increase for Stephen Moffat, but he didn't get it. It'll be interesting to see if the iPlayer viewership will increase dramatically more than what we've got for the Space Babies and Devil's Chord. What I find interesting, though, is also here. I know it's different times of year, I get it, but here we have the consolidation figures for the Church on Ruby Road is 7.49 million. And if we take that to the current 3.91 million, that works out about 358 million loss in consolidated figures for viewership, which is a significant drop. Now, I don't think for the BBC these viewing figures are necessarily going to be important, but it may very well be important for Disney Plus, Disney, because they're the ones that are footing a lot of the money towards the current Doctor Who as we know it. So they want to be investing in it more. And if it's not going to make the money, they're not going to do it. Although having said that, they're investing in films which are currently making losses. So who knows, I guess, at the end of the day, who knows? And if I just bring up Jodie's viewing figures here, these are her viewing figures. It is starting to look prospectively worse for Shooty at this current moment in time, because I think that there's a really good possibility that these are either going to stay the same or they're going to start dropping off gradually over a period of time, because people are unhappy with the current state of Doctor Who. I wrote a complaint to the BBC about everything that has been going on, everything that has been said, because I don't like the attitude from the cast members. Interestingly, we haven't really had any of that from Millie Gibson, but I haven't liked it. The attitude from the showrunner, the attitude from the actors. It's horrible to see that sort of language coming from them. And so I wrote a complaint, and BBC were like, yeah, no, we're not bothering with it. And I did mention that, it's probably going to affect the viewing figures. Well, told you so. I don't know. Maybe that's the time to say that, but I guess we will see by the end of the actual series. But it's getting to the point now where things are becoming ridiculous, because even the Radio Times, who said that it was likely to have been affected by the good weather, and even released this article, which I didn't know about, which says Doctor Who's overnight ratings aren't the full story, but they still matter, because things are very different this time around. And this is one of the things they said: as viewing habits change for better or for worse, our favorite shows must change with them. And they're saying that people stayed up to watch it, which is one of the things that has apparently affected the viewing figures. They've also said now linear ratings have hardly been an accurate measure of success for a long time, because fewer and fewer people watch TV live. You would think that it's obvious, although someone has tried telling the various news outlets using the viewing figures for a cheap headline to trash the new season. I think the viewing figures speak for themselves, and I think that it's very important to have the good reviews 100%, but it's also important to listen to the bad. Considering the episodes were released on iPlayer a full 19 hours previously and will have a home on the iPlayer Whoniverse forevermore, it was inevitable that fewer people than usual would be watching when the show aired on that evening in BBC One. There are plenty of other reasons for those ratings too. Some have said the good weather meant people weren't inside watching Doctor Who live. Some have blamed the month of May for being TV's dead spot. There are hundreds of reasons the ratings ended up as they are, some more impactful as others. But that doesn't mean these ratings don't matter. For one thing, it's pretty incredible that they weren't the lowest ever. These 2 episodes have been available for almost 19 hours already, and people still tuned in live, proving that even in the streaming age, demand is still there for event TV. Right, okay, so I checked this, okay? They're saying right here, 19 hours already, is that those episodes have been available, but I double checked. So they released them on the BBC iPlayer at midnight, but they do not remain on the iPlayer. They get taken down and then re-released with the linear release. So the only streaming service at that point that has it for 19 hours until the linear release is Disney Plus. So go and check out that article. It's linked below. Yesterday, the Radio Times released this, and it's a whole different story. Doctor Who ratings revealed for the first week of season 14. The numbers are in. We now have a clearer picture of the ratings for Doctor Who's launch episodes, which confirmed audience figures for the first 7 days following the first 2 episodes release. According to the BARB, or the BARB, 4.01 million tuned in for Space Babies and 3.91 million for the Devil's Chord. These figures are the 7-day consolidated ratings and can include those who watched on BBC iPlayer from the show's release on Saturday. Viewing figures for programs on broadcast channels are consolidated 7-day viewing figures with pre-broadcast viewing on tablets, PCs, and smartphones included. Season 14 is the first to debut every episode early at midnight on BBC iPlayer, with the episodes airing on BBC One later that day. While the move was met with some backlash, showrunner RTD later defended the decision, reasoning that viewers can watch whenever suits them. So how come I couldn't find it then when I wanted to watch Boom the other day after the midnight release? The first episode, Space Babies, saw Shruti Gatwa's Doctor and Millie Gibson's companion Ruby Sunday encounter a baby farm run by babies. The second episode, Devil's Course, starred Jinx Monsoon. They met the Beatles to save humanity from Maestro. Most recently, viewers tuned in to watch the return of showrunner Stephen Moffat, who wrote Boom. As for what's next, we've got a mysterious adventure to the Welsh coast to look forward to in 73 Yards. And then he goes on to talk about 73 Yards and the show's release. So what's going on there? No weather excuse, no blaming it on people not watching for the linear. Nothing. Just tumbleweed flying across the screen. Has it really gotten that bad that even the Radio Times, who have staunchly defended Doctor Who for the last week, maybe even more, can't even say anything? I know ratings have changed. I do understand that. But it's gotten absolutely insane. They're at the point now where they can't even defend it. Telling people that you hope they get hit by the door on their way out, to F off, tough, to touch grass, calling them pork, essentially, doesn't seem to be working out in their favor. There's a lot of people who don't have an issue with a black man playing a doctor. They don't have an issue with him being queer in real life either. I think it's the way that the fans are being spoken to that is creating part of the issue here. Now, don't get me wrong, it works both ways. But in many respects, I feel like if they didn't say anything, maybe things like this wouldn't be going on. Maybe people would be curious enough to tune in. That's just my opinion, though. So, what do you think? Chat about it, don't shout about it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.